Everyone, my name is Angelica Flores Garcia, and for the second book, I'm going to be reading Hansel and Gretel by the Grimm brothers. Hard by a great forest dwelt a poor woodcutter with his wife and his two children. The boy was called Hansel and the girl Gretel. He had little to bite and to break, and once, when great dirt fell on the land, he could no longer procure even daily bread. Now, when he thought over this by night in his bed and tossed about in his anxiety, he groaned and said to his wife, "What is to become of us? How are we going to feed our poor children when we no longer have anything to even for ourselves?" "I'll tell you what, husband," answered the woman. "Early tomorrow morning, we will take the children out into the forest to where it is the thickest. There we will light fire for them and give each of them one piece of bread, and then we will go to our work and leave them alone. They will not find the way home again, and we shall get rid of them." "No, wife," said the man, "I will not do that. How can I bear to leave my children alone in the forest? The wild animals will soon come and tear them to pieces," said she. "Then we must all four die of hunger. You may as well paint the planks for our coffins." And she left him with no peace until he consented. "But I felt very sorry for the poor children all the same," said the man. The two children had also not been able to sleep for hunger and had heard what their stepmother had said to their father. Gretel wept bitter tears and said to Hansel, "Now is over with us." "Be quiet, Gretel," said Hansel. "Do not distress yourself. I will soon find a way to help us." And when the old folks had fallen asleep, he got up, put in his little coat, opened the door below, and crept outside. The moon shone brightly, and the white pebbles which lay in front of the house glittered like real silver pennies. Hansel stopped and stuffed the little pocket of his coat with as many as he could get in. Then he went back and said to Gretel, "Be comforted, dear little sister, and sleep in peace. God will not forsake us." And he lay down again in his bed. When day dawned, but before the sun had risen, the woman came and awoke the two children, saying, "Get up, you sluggards. We are going into the forest to fetch wood." She gave each a little piece of bread and said, "There is something for your dinner. Do not eat it up before then, for you will get nothing else." When they had reached the middle of the forest, the father said, "Now, children, pile up some wood and I will light a fire that you may not be cold." Hansel and Gretel gathered brushwood together, as high as a little hill. The brushwood was lighted, and when the flames were burning very high, the woman said, "Now, children, lay yourselves down by the fire and rest. We will go into the forest and cut some wood. When we have done, we will be..." "Now, children, lay yourselves down by the fire and rest. We will go into the forest to cut some wood. When we have done, we will come back and fetch you away." Hansel and Gretel sat by the fire, and when noon came, each ate a little piece of bread. And as they had been sitting such a long time, their eyes closed with fatigue, and they fell fast asleep. When at least they awoke, it was already dark night. Gretel began to cry and said, How are we getting out of the forest now?" But Hansel comforted and said, "Just wait a little until the moon has risen, and then we will soon find the way." And when the moon had risen, Hansel took his little sister by the hand and followed the pebbles which shone like newly coined silver pieces and showed them the way. They walked the whole night long, and by break of day came once more to their father's house. They knocked at the door, and when the woman opened it and saw it was Hansel and Gretel, she said, "You naughty children, why have you slept so long in the forest? We thought you were never coming back at all." The father, however, rejoiced, for it had got him to the heart to leave them behind alone. No longer afterwards, there was once more great dearth throughout the land, and the children heard their mother saying at night to their father, "Everything is eaten again. We have one half loaf left, and that is the end. The children must go. We will take them further into the woods so that they will not find their way out again. There is no other means of saving ourselves. The children were still awake and had heard the conversation. When the old folks were asleep, Hansel again got up and wanted to go out and pick up pebbles, as he had done before. But the woman had locked the door, and Hansel could not get up. Nevertheless, he comforted his little sister and said, "Do not cry, Gretel. Go to sleep quietly, that God will help us." Early in the morning came the woman and took the children out of their beds. The piece of bread was given to them, but it was still smaller than the time before. On the way into the forest, Hansel crumbled his in his pocket and often stood still and threw a morsel on the ground. Hansel, little by little, threw all the crumbs on the path.